Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 16, the finale. Major death expected. We're going to talk about some clues that pretty obvious to me, but may not be obvious to the writers on Fear the Walking Dead. I think this is going to be a good episode if it's done correctly. Before we get too far into it, a couple announcements I want to make. I do have to say special thank you to the Patreon Army. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. Great group of people. We're adding multiple tiers to the Patreon Army. We're going to add a PDL Plus category. I'll tell you more about that later on. Also, you guys can see in the top right-hand corner the 6-month channel members. I've got a whole list of new people that just hit 6 months. I have not updated that yet, but really quick, I want to give special shout-outs to Crystal, William, Newfield 12, BK Harp, Natalie, Mitch True, Tracy Bledsoe, Amy Ferrero, Kimberly M, Anna Smith, Judy Perry, Deborah Johnson, and Julia Muse. Thank you so much. You guys all got brand new badges, so you guys just hit the 6-month club. I will get that updated for you guys really, really soon. Also, one more announcement. You guys know that I'm in the process of moving, relocating. I've not fully done that yet. You may find this hard to believe, but you can't have your equipment in two places at the same time. So I'm back and forth, so I'm still at my old location, but hopefully within the next couple days, our schedules will absolutely normalize. We got Fear the Walking Dead. We got Walking Dead coming out a week early that we can start to view, start to talk about, and then with this move. So hopefully by next week, we'll be on a more normal schedule, streaming every night. But I'm not sure about the next couple of days. Just stay tuned, pay attention to our Facebook fan page, and you'll find out a little bit more. So here we go. You guys ready to talk a little bit about fear? Because we've got some articles out there from Sassy Paul Tassi that we're going to talk about tonight. Really love the fact that he did a whole publication and basically recommended that Fear take 90% of the things that we talk about in our streams. But you guys know I disagree with almost everything that Paul Tassi writes. However, he did have a couple points this week, and we will talk about that. So let's get into Fear the Walking Dead. Let me say, Episode 15, before we get into the finale and we talk about some deaths and some of the potential storylines, I gave Episode 15 a higher score than most. I gave it 8.4. I was criticized quite a bit. I had a couple people message and say, one of the comments was, what was I smoking? Why did I see it that way? And I gave validation for it. But I do reserve the right to increase my score or lower my score. And after further review of Episode 15, I've lowered my score to a 6. Now, what could lower my score within a couple of days from an 8.4 all the way down to a 6? The fact that everything that I liked about that episode, every cliffhanger, was completely undone by the sneak peek and the pictures. Dwight was supposed to leave, but now we got Dwight right up on the screen in the middle of a picture. Humbug Gulch was supposed to be overtaken and not able to be cleared, and several of you said, why don't they just kill the walkers? Well, obviously they've killed the walkers. So everything that was this mystery, and then they were so desperate they called Ginny, but here they are inside the church getting married. So the things that I liked about it was the fact that it finally seemed to be taking a step. Now, that lowered the score for me, but my question is, are they so... you ever watch a movie? How many people have watched a movie and they do all the good parts of the movie in the preview? And by the time, you see all these things, it's like, wow, the preview's really good. And then you go and you watch the movie and it's like, the movie wasn't that good. We already saw everything major happened in the preview. So my fear with this week, because I've heard a lot of people say this is going to be a good episode, my fear is that what if all the good things were shown? But I am an optimist, and I am a Walking Dead optimist. Because I'm going to approach Episode 16 as if I were writing it, as if I was going to add some cool stuff that maybe would get you guys interested in a little bit of, oh, maybe that could happen. It might not happen this way, but the way we're going to talk about it tonight, I think it would be, people would take a step back. All right, so I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me talk a little bit about Sassy Paul Tassi and the 3 articles he wrote this week basically bashing Fear the Walking Dead. Now, I get it. 1 is probably enough, but he had to go overboard. And one of the recommendations was, he said, everybody on the show needs to die except Morgan and Alicia. This was actually a line from his article. I don't agree with that, but his rationale made sense. It was extreme, but he said it would put the fear back in Fear the Walking Dead. That almost sounds like a direct quote that we had from one of our streams last week. I mean, I'm not saying we copyrighted that phrase. What I'm saying is we have really been on the bandwagon that fear is showing too much helping and not enough boldness. Everything is a moral. Everything is a feel-good story. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We do have a wedding. Does fear have the courage? Do Ian and Andrew have the courage to have something major go down during this wedding? I don't care if it's a knockoff from Game of Thrones. Is it possible that there's a major event and there's regret at the end of this wedding? And I'm going to give you a super, super big clue that I think would validate that, would make it interesting, would open up the door for a good story for it to happen. Dead wedding, I like that. Tom Bug Ferreira. The fact that you're not criticizing the lack of skid mark is concerning to me. Is it possible that skid mark is what cleared them out? Maybe they opened up the little gate and all the walkers chased skid mark and, went about a mile away and they were able to come inside the gulch. I'm not validating sacrificing him, but hey, there's an option. Will the Bill, something is coming. Who is John pointing the gun at on the horse? Okay. Absolutely. There is a showdown. There's going to be some type of standoff. Well, I think all those things are going to happen. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to go a little bit the way I would do it. So I got a question. And the first person, I will give you a Kills coin for Freestyle Friday. I think there's a major clue and a major event in this picture. And if you can tell me what that is, I'll reward the first person. To me, it's obvious. Let's see who has an eye for detail. I'm going to give you about 5 more seconds. Dwight is there. That's not it. Four, 3, 2, 1. All right, nobody got it. Do you guys see the table over on the far right? What's on the table? John's gun is there. Very good, Roxanne. John's gun is there. Would it not be phenomenal if there was an attack, and I got to make my case. I got to make my case today, because if I lose, Will the Bill is taking home the gold, taking home the glory. So Will the Bill, the way I would write it is John's gun is on that table, and if they get attacked during the wedding and something happens to June and John goes to draw his weapon and it's not there and he cannot defend her, it would go down as amazing writing in my story. One, he would never take that gun off again. That would be the story. And I understand you could look at it and say, well, hey, look, it's a process and it's paying respects because they are in a church. But the fact that that gun is way over there and John is way over there getting ready to get married. Now, there's also this little thing that happens during a wedding. And in the synopsis, it said, John and June make a promise. So when you take wedding vows, what is the one line that is important whenever you're taking the oath and you're about to get married? What's the only thing that could possibly separate you? Till death do us part. So Will the Bill, it is my extreme bold prediction. Because, I'm already out there. I'm already out there on the limb. If the limb breaks at this point, it doesn't matter where I hit solid ground or whether I hit concrete. If the limb breaks, it breaks. So if I'm going to do the prediction, I'm just going to do it and I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe it doesn't happen this way, but this is the way that I'm going to say it. And this is the way I want it to play out, because this is what I need. Fluff the flamethrower. Did you get a prenup? No, that is not what you say, Fluff. That would have been you know what? If this was random things, I might have rewarded that comment. That's a good super chat, though. Will the Bill says, that would be crazy. What kind of beer did you want? So, stick with me through this, though, and see if you could see it play out. We know there's going to be some slowness, maybe even some boredom. So, how many of you are excited to see Wes and Alicia climb up on a ladder and paint a barn? It's cute. It's a good story. More bonding. But no. It's a finale. I don't need it. I don't need it at this point. Maybe 8 episodes ago. No, I don't want it. I don't need it in the finale. But we know it's there. So we know we're going to have some of that ho-hum. Let's get to it. Crystal Singer Chick Gore brought up a point. This group looks pretty happy at the wedding, don't they? It appears as if everything is normal. Now, if this was The Walking Dead, I would guarantee you right now that if this was the show The Walking Dead and it looked normal, it would be anything but normal. I would stake my claim, my reputation, and say, no. This is what they do to us. They make it look normal because they want to trick us. The problem with Fear the Walking Dead, usually when they look happy, they are happy. It's very by the book. And at some point, they got to change it up. And if they don't change it up in the finale, here's bold prediction number 2. And why I'm going to go out on a limb and make this case, Will the Bill and others. If this season ends the way it started, with no deaths, a wedding, new life, there is no hope for season 6. Let me say that again. If something major does not happen in the finale, and the big reveal is that John and June get married and live happily ever after, because what is the central theme for episode 16? It's this wedding. Would you all agree? They've talked about this wedding. They had their rings. They've had some close calls. So the wedding is the thing. Now, the episode is called End of the Line. A little ironic that you've got this relationship and the future, and it's about being together, but it's called the end of the line. And Roxanne, I agree with that. And I think many other people have made the same statement. Fear the Walking Dead, if it does not have a major finale, is going to lose a ton of people in the offseason. Because there's nothing to get excited about. Well, I mean, obviously The Walking Dead and other things, but I'm talking about this particular franchise. Will the Bill super chat and says, okay, I'll go with you on that. They called Ginny. Mistake. She probably refused. Now that they have it cleared, Ginny will be there to take it. She could interrupt the wedding with some death. All right. Great point, Will. So I do want to talk about Ginny a little bit. Here's something that was a tad bit confusing. So Morgan called Ginny, and if you saw the opening minutes of this week, I think her number was 263, where Ginny says to Morgan, where are you? I'm at a place called Humbug Gulch, and she says, that is one of the first settlements I ran into. And I think the number she said was 263. There's 263 souls there, and they were people. Their leader made a bad choice. When the lake, basically the lake ran out of water, the water hole dried up, they died. So there was a group of 263 people there. Ginny had some connection. So, am I the only one that thinks Ginny poisoned their water supply and killed all 263 of these people? Their leader made a bad choice. That choice was probably not joining Ginny's group. She specifically said, the leader, she specifically said the water supply. She knew how many people were there. She's very familiar with this area. So, Ginny has sabotaged this group. That's going to force Morgan's hand and force the rest of the group to take a stand. Now, here's the problem. When Logan's men were out there, and we didn't think Logan's men was a threat, but the group thought Logan's men was a threat because they ran and, from a few people, but you get the point. So when Logan's men were out there, what was Alicia doing? And Strand? Painting. Painting trees. What was Charlie doing? Running away. What was Grace and Morgan doing? Helping a dying man fulfill his wish, looking up at the stars. Okay. So, this group that we have, instead of preparing, instead of scavenging for more food, instead of protecting what they had, they thought Logan was the threat. We knew better. But they weren't doing anything to prepare for war, to prepare for battle. So now the group is on the verge of giving in. They're so famished. They're so thirsty. Dwight's going to leave that they have to call Ginny. They're so desperate because they have nothing. But we go from that at the end of 15 to they're painting a barn and having a wedding. I'm bothered by this. Everything up to this point in Fear the Walking Dead has been about principle. This whole season has been about helping and principle. And I'm sorry, but you can't win against an army of undead by always taking time off to celebrate values and norms and things that you want to change. So, how is it I need 2 volunteers. It always makes it more personal when I get a couple volunteers from our audience. So just 2 people. All right, Steph and Roxanne. All right. Me, Steph, and Roxanne are out at a bridge talking to Ginny. And we decide to leave, and Ginny starts shooting up in the air and wants to summon a whole bunch of walkers to kill us. Okay? Roxanne or Steph, do we call her on the walkie-talkie and ask her for anything? And the rest of you, feel free to answer that question. So if you talk about, this is a person that just drove away and left you to die, not just left you to die, assisted in bringing the herd to you. She's trying to kill you. But yet, Morgan, who already knew who Negan was, he's already seen some of the same traits in Ginny that is in Negan, decides to call her on the radio. All right? Now, I'll give you that. I'll give you that momentary lapse of reason. Morgan just forgot. But then somewhere in this episode, they clear out all the walkers. And instead of saying, wait a minute, that crazy lady might come to kill us, all these people are in here putting their weapons down for a wedding? If people don't die at this wedding, they deserve to die at this wedding. Because that is just carelessness. This group, and once again, I will, even though I may not agree with everything that Paul Tassi says, everybody in this church deserves to die for negligence. She knows where they are. She's, as Morgan, if I'm Morgan and I get that thing from the radio, I'm going to turn off the radio, get everybody together and say, you know what? I think she killed everybody here. We need to prepare in case she shows up. Let's ambush her. Let's set up some lookouts, half a mile away. Flatten her tires. Do something. She got a Jeep, and now she's got all the oil, and they got, generators for days. So the one go-to thing, the one little bit of faith that keeps me going for Fear the Walking Dead and my hope in episode 16 is there's no way they brought Morgan and Dwight over here to participate in weddings. Did they? Did they bring Dwighty boy over to be a best man at a wedding? On Fear the Walking Dead? Is this the Bachelorette? Or is this Fear the Walking Dead? So Julia says they brought him over to help mankind. Here's the problem, and this is where we have to shift between a TV show and the reality. So Julia, if they truly did bring him over to help people, and that is going to be the storyline of Fear the Walking Dead in the future, those million people that are watching next season, half of those people are going to turn off the television. Trust me when I tell you this. The small amount of fans, Julia, I know it's a joke, but you got a point. The vast majority of the fans that are watching right now, tell me an honest answer. I know we're going to get a couple, cornballs that are going to give me something completely silly, which I've come to expect. But give me the honest reason why all of us are watching Fear the Walking Dead at this point. The Rick connection. Two hands and a radio hit the nail right on the head. We hope for better, and we haven't gotten it yet. Let me let that sink in for a second, because this needs to be articulated to the writers, to the showrunners. The reason we have watched this season, not because the storyline is compelling, not because it's good. It's because we're waiting for it to get good because we are true fans. And the patience is going to run out if they don't devastate somebody, if they don't bring it. Next season, when we're sitting here discussing whether or not to talk about Fear, because we're going to have a blast talking about The Walking Dead, right? I mean, we are excited about The Walking Dead. We're excited about the Rick Grimes movie. Looking forward to the brand new series of The Walking Dead. But next year, Fear has been renewed. It doesn't mean that they won't cancel it. Just because they can renew it doesn't mean that they will. So let me say this. When we have that choice next year, next spring, and we're like, hey, guys, Fear the Walking Dead. What are you guys doing? I'm not going to watch it tonight. And half the audience remembers that we struggled through this season, and they don't give us something, it's going to be a flop. And that's That's the tie-in. Like I said, I probably wouldn't have wrote 3 Forbes articles about it this week. I don't know that I would have said kill all the characters. I think that's a little bit extreme. I don't know if episode 15 was the worst episode of all time. Those were all pretty strong statements. But if there's not a major twist this week, and look, I ain't talking about killing Grace. Grace is dead man walking. She's gone. And I have to tell you, if there is well, you know what? I'm going to call it like it is. If this episode is slow and there is a wedding and everybody lives, and at the very end there's a Rick Grimes connection to the movie, I'm going to call BS, and I'm going to say that was a cheap way to get people interested in Fear the Walking Dead, and it's not going to carry me through next year. It's not. Because if there's a Rick tie-in to CRM, that's just going to catapult to the movie. That's not going to do anything for season 6. I need a reason to watch season 6. I wouldn't put it past them either. But if they think that's going to be enough, it's not going to be enough. And I'm just going to say that next year, the forum for Fear the Walking Dead is going to change. This is going to be my commitment. I will never cross The Walking Dead. I love it. Love the characters. Love the story. They do a great job. Very seldom do we ever criticize The Walking Dead. But if Fear takes a cheap exit, hey, look, the best episode this year was the Isabella episode and CRM. But if that's going to be their big pitch at the end of it, and we got like painting barns and plot holes and a wedding and everybody's happy and there's no fear in Fear the Walking Dead, and we just get like Althea gets some CRM reference and then they move on and next year's a brand new story and we got to start over all over again, then we will be, well, I will be, I'm not going to speak for you, I will be much, much more critical of Fear the Walking Dead next season. It'll be a lot more critiquing of the show and a lot less of the happy-go-lucky fan reactions. Because honestly, I think we've held back a lot of that this season, waiting for it. You know, how hard is it to unleash something? How hard is it just to go a little crazy with the show every once in a while? Mix it up, man. Enough of the hot air balloons. Enough of the boxes. Enough of the Sharpie ladies. Enough of the plane crashes and annoying kids. And wondering, where is Sherry? Now, if we get a Sherry answer, let's talk about some of the conditions that no more speeches, absolutely. So let's lay out a few conditions of what could happen this week that's going to make us come back. Gouche, super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. And appreciate the support of all of our super chatters. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much. All right. So let's talk about a few things other than painting barns and weddings that could make it exciting. So I've given you guys the John Dory. Something happens to June at the altar, and John goes to reach for his gun and realizes it's on that table and he can't defend her. I love that story. That's the way I would write it. Sorry, June, you have to be a casualty of the show. You will forever be memorialized as the lady who died at the altar saying, I do. And technically you were married, but you got to die. So first and foremost, June's got to die. But the promise, I'll get that promise in there. Number 2, I need a concrete Sherry clue or Sherry closure, preferably a clue to keep me interested in Dwight next year. What I would really like is I would really like for John to go crazy mode because somebody asked him to take off his gun belt. Now, that would be even a better story if John just completely loses it because he couldn't defend her and he blames somebody for it. That would be great. Instead of him, well, no, it's not your fault. You just doing your job, Padre. You know, something like that. I don't want him to, keep buttering people up. I want John to be somebody that is struggling to survive in a zombie apocalypse. Now, that would certainly take it to a whole new level, and I absolutely love that. Crawfish has a brilliant idea. If you want to talk about a major story going forward, how about a baby Negan? How about Sherry having a baby Negan? That would be impressive. That would take the cake. What a dilemma that would be, right? She's been leaving these notes for Dwight, but she doesn't really want Dwight to find her because she had Negan's baby. Oh my goodness. You talk about chaos and confusion. How do you even begin? And imagine bringing another Negan into the world. Woo! That would be phenomenal. I would love it. Sheegan. That would be great. We already named him. Poor Dwight. Now that alone would not be enough. I need a combination of these things. All right, so we got an altar death. We got Sherry found out, possibly even had a baby. What else? Let's throw it out there. Let's make episode 16 the greatest Fear the Walking Dead episode in the history of the show. What else could we do? Alicia falls off the ladder while she's painting. I mean, you know what? I'm not holding back anything. Kill Wendell? How are we going to kill Wendell? Morgan death? I don't, Morgan is one of the few. I would not like to see Morgan die. I would like to see Morgan stop giving speeches. I mean, we still haven't seen this Abraham tape. All we saw was a tape that had the Doc and Abe, but we still haven't seen it. But at this point, I don't know how they could tie him back into the story. Stefanella says we need a June death and a Sherry baby. See, that'd be a great trade-off, right? You know, you've got a death and you got a life. Hey, it's 1 for 1. Could you see baby Sheegan walking around with a wiffle ball bat? I mean, that would be great. Look out, Skid Mark. He's coming after you. I mean, yeah, I don't even... That's a crazy visual. I would miss Charlie like zero. Charlie can go. That's a great point. Where is Samora? She's supposed to be keeping that inventory. God, they've done so many things, and I can't even remember all the things that they haven't answered yet. Yeah, there is no inventory, but we had this girl that was counting inventory, and now we don't even know what happened to her, where she is. I mean, there's a video. I mean, I get the bank manager. Yeah, you know what? That's going to make me mad if I start thinking about those videos they got us to watch. We watched all those videos, and the only one that seemed to make any sense was the bank manager. Or maybe Paul Tassie's right. Maybe kill them all and then just start it over with the people that were in the tapes. Ginny comes in and mows everybody down during his wedding. I mean, that would be shocking. I don't know that we need all of that, but we certainly need something. All right, so we predicted about 20 different deaths. Clearly, they're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to get lucky if we get 1 or 2. Well, Steph, I don't blame you. I mean, Drama King's been saying watch the tapes for months. We all went and watched the tapes, and we didn't learn anything from the tapes, except the bank manager. Where's the stand-up comic? He was on his way from Florida to Washington, I think. I mean, do you know how, like, it's really, and Walking Dead nerd, maybe you can help with this, because you're certainly one of our experts in the field. One thing about The Walking Dead, there's a plot hole here or there, right? Morales, a couple other things. Hey, can you guys block this asshat Jacob Ferrienk? He's about, don't just remove his message, just block him. He's an idiot. The Walking Dead will occasionally have a plot hole, and sometimes they go back and answer it, but, you know, their questions are like, why are they wearing makeup? Or where do they go to the bathroom? I mean, you know, stuff that people ask in a zombie apocalypse. But for the most part, we do a full-scale analysis of The Walking Dead, and it kind of they cross their T's and they dot their I's, right? I mean, for the most part, they circle back and finish the story. Not all the time, but most of the time. My problem with Fear the Walking Dead this season is we got way more questions than we have answers. If we get one answer, we get like 3 more questions. And we haven't done a full-scale breakdown because we can't. And that's why I think next year, if we really want to have some fun talking about Fear the Walking Dead, if they don't bring some closure to a lot of these stories, we are going to watch Fear the Walking Dead. Hopefully you guys will watch it with me next year. But we're just going to have a list of all these stories and just talk about all the things they never answer. So, Wilson wants to know, so they hold the wedding without Luciana being there. Well, don't know, Wilson, because I've only seen a couple pictures of it. I haven't seen everybody. I mean, clearly there's 30-something people and they're not all in the church. So I don't think all those people are dead. And if they were all dead, like Crystal Singer Chick said, I don't think they just go into, here and have a wedding after they're all dead. I think people are kind of doing their thing. But I don't feel like this is the ending. If there is some minor death, I don't think the show ends with the wedding. Like, hey, we lost Lucy, we lost Strand, we lost a couple others. Maybe Strand joined the group. Lucy's still captive. But there's a whole lot of people that aren't here. All right, based on the chain of events, it would appear to me that they call Ginny, they clear the walkers, they have some complete brain lapse and think that they're going to have some sense of normalcy, so they start painting and have a wedding. Lo and behold, Ginny is still out there lurking. Ginny rushes in, interrupts their wedding, kills June, kills somebody. John may have to go get his gun. And then next season, we set the stage between Ginny's group, because Ginny's group is not dying off in this episode. You guys do know this, right? Ginny is not going to die. I 100% guarantee you she is the villain next season. She's got ties. Now they got oil. They can't kill her in an hour. So all these other communities she has set up is going to be the story. And this group has to have a reason to fight her. They have to have a reason to go after her. And that reason, in my professional opinion, is going to be this: what goes down in this church. Because let's funnel it down. Do we really think that the chain of events is going to be, okay, they call Ginny, it starts out, they have a fight with Ginny, they shoot back and forth, Ginny leaves, and then at the end of the show, they have this wedding, and then the rest of us are like, okay, so we know Ginny's out there, we know she's going to be a villain in season 6, but instead of chasing her down, they decided it was best just to take off all your weapons and have a wedding. I don't see it in that particular order. If I were writing it, which clearly I'm not, because it would be a lot more like our PDO episodes and we had a hell of a lot more action and adventure. But if I were writing it, I would start it out slow, scale it up, and this show needs an epic cliffhanger more than any other show in the history of television. It needs a reason for us to tune in next season. And that reason, Ginny needs to execute some people. I'm hopeful it's June, but if it's not, it's not. But she needs to execute some people. Plural. Sarah. Wendell. Charlie. Daniel. Somebody. Multiple somebodies. And by execute, I don't want her going up to the church door and shooting the gun up in the air and luring walkers back in. She needs to kill somebody. Not third party. She needs to do it. And that gives us a reason to go after her next year. We got to have a reason to hate her. We got to have a reason to make her the villain. I don't care. Fearless, it could be John, could be June. Honestly, it could be anybody in this church. Could be the rabbi. Although, if she kills the rabbi, I don't have an emotional attachment to the rabbi. I don't have a connection with him. So, based on these people that are inside the church right now, who could she kill that most of you wouldn't care about? Let's say you got Sarah, Wendell, Morgan, Dwight, John, June, Rabbi, Charlie. Tom's sister. Okay. Now, it's a loaded question. See the pun there? Loaded. All right. Which character could they kill inside this church that would, A, have the biggest impact on all the other people, their story arc moving forward, B, would truly be a moment of sadness for someone that's supposed to be their happiest day, all right? June. Think about it. Look, oh, come on. You guys saying Morgan are just because you're Morgan fans. Hang on. Take Morgan out of the equation for a second. What would be more evil and twisted than killing a bride on her wedding day? Think about that for a second. And the husband, who's a gunslinger, who does the San Antonio split, cannot defend his bride because he doesn't have his weapon on his side. What would be more tragic than that? Not Morgan. Not even Grace. We know Grace is going to die. June. It's like, man, this is finally their moment. This is what they built up the whole season for. This is what we've been talking about. They had their moment in Humbug's Gulch. This is like a reunion. Marvelous One, right when she's about to say I do. Give her that Glenn moment. Like the Maggie, I'll find you. Like her last words are just I do. Deborah, I'm not disputing that June could live, but here's my question. Why? Why keep her alive at this point? If the show needs a star, if the show needs a catapult, if the show needs somebody to take a bullet for the rest of the team so the show lives and there's a story, what's the relevant in keeping June alive? And if keeping June alive and this wedding happens, and a portion of the audience tunes out, what value is it? Except to say she lived, which is fine. Alicia's a dead man walking. We know Alicia's going to die. There's nothing shocking about Alicia or Grace dying. And even though June or John dying would not be completely shocking because we've talked about it, it still would be one of the few deaths that I think would have an emotional impact. As much as I'm indifferent toward June, I will tell you as a viewer, you shoot a bride on her wedding day and the husband has to watch that and can't defend her, that's a big deal for me. That would certainly make me admire the courage of the writers to do it. It probably would be, if I'm being honest, of all the people in that room, it probably would be the most disturbing death to me. Very well may be true, Two Hands on the Radio. The writers might not see the value in doing it. And, I mean, I would say this. How many of you out there kind of like June? How many are kind of partial to June? Because I know many of you have said June lives, right? So how many people here watching kind of cool with June's character? See, that's my point. All the people here saying I like her, that's why you kill her. Sort of. I like June. That's why she takes the fall for the team. She takes the fall. I don't dislike her. Will the Bill says, I love June and John. So, those of you that just answered yes to June, that you kind of like June, if Ginny was to kill this bride on her wedding day, would that be would that fire you up a little bit? Would you want Ginny to die? Would you want some revenge on Ginny? Would that kind of escalate her villain? So, we've got a path to Fear the Walking Dead laid out right there in front of us. All the writers have to do is take it. We've asked the hard questions. What would be worse in this particular room, in this particular chain of events, than the person that we need to be the villain killing the person that most of you would be most distraught over? And John not being able to do anything about it. It propels Ginny's character. It's a great story. It propels John's character. And it makes all of these other people in the room want to fight that much harder to rally around John and the group because of what happened to her. And let me tell you, if it happened that way, I'm not going to be sitting here eating popcorn applauding a sad death on the show. But I would appreciate it if it was a story that was told good, if it was told the right way, if they were able to pull that off. I would certainly appreciate it. Just like many of the other stories on The Walking Dead. I was not a fan of the Glenn situation, but believe it or not, and I've told this story a couple times, you guys know this, Abraham was my favorite character on The Walking Dead universe. And when Abraham died, and the way that Abraham died, and thinking that he died for the group and he gave Sasha that peace sign, I loved it. I didn't, come back the next week and say, oh my God, I'm never going to see Abraham again. I thought that was the perfect ending to his story. Because I realize characters can't live forever on the show. Eventually, in a show like The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, you have to kill people. And it can't always be Grace. And it can't be Jimbo the Beerbo. Occasionally, what's made this franchise successful, here's their winning formula. And it worked great for The Walking Dead, and they haven't been able to do it on Fear the Walking Dead. The formula is tell a story, get characters to care, get the audience to care about those characters, and kill some of them. Because the audience grows with them, and the audience feels lost when they're gone. And if June dies this week, it will be as close to a connection, I think, as we've made with a character. We followed their love story. We've seen it happen week after week. We know that they want to get married. It would be a tragedy. But now, the way we know Fear the Walking Dead, I have my doubts, to be perfectly honest. This was a prediction that I made 5 months ago. And here we are at the final episode, and it may not pan out that way, and I'm fine. However, I just think it would be intriguing. Intriguing to start to tell a story. And I think it would also show the fans, at some point they have to show the fans, is they're not afraid to lose stars. And see, this is where we're at right now. Julie McGuire, check this out. I guess no one dies. How many good dead shred. Fear the Walking Dead is a tragedy. So, how many people here, give me your honest opinion and we'll start to wind the stream down. How many people here honestly think Fear the Walking Dead will not kill a major character this week? How many people do think that they will shock the audience and they will bring an epic, tragic death this week? So, with that being said, the stakes are pretty high, right? How many people think if Fear the Walking Dead does not kill a major character, this is going to be a 3-part question. Because we've asked this, and this is where I was getting with this. How many people think if they do not make a bold move and kill a major character, a huge portion of their audience will not watch next season, and the executive producers, Andrew and Ian, will both be replaced and lose their jobs at the end of the season because of ratings. Okay. Now, if you were the executive producer and the ball is in your court and you were the person making decisions like these guys and you know your job could be on the line, I need you to give me only one epic kill this week that if you were writing the story, you tell me right now in chat who you would kill in order to save your job on the show. Which character would you kill? Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Case, point made. There it is right there on the screen. Most everybody is saying that's the way it should go down. So maybe multiple characters. But you guys can see June is the link. June is what the audience needs to see go. And that's the best we can funnel it down. Hey, everybody. We are an hour and 6 minutes. Good talk tonight. Appreciate you guys being here. I got Will the Bill. I'm done with fear. There's no major death Sunday. They should lose their jobs and hire people from this stream. Kill everyone. I don't care. Absolutely. This is as pointed and direct as I can be. And, not to criticize the show. It's the reality. I mean, we're going to watch things that we like, and we're going to tune out things that we don't like. And I think there's a lot to be said about the feel-good story, but sometimes if you make a feel-good story last too long, when they did this in the middle, I think it made perfect sense. But if you make this whole season about leaving boxes on the side of the road, painting houses, and getting married, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to have that staying power. And our audience it's absolutely selective. So a lot of great comments. Appreciate your insight, your communication back and forth. You got some great ideas. Pleasure hanging out with you guys tonight. We will probably stream tomorrow. As I said, I'm doing a lot of back and forth in the process of moving, so I'll keep you guys posted. Stay tuned. I'll post it early. But when I move the equipment, it's got to be moved. So once I move, I could be down for a day or so, but I'll still be communicating with each and every one of you. I want to give a shout out to the Patreon Army. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. Having a great time on Wednesday. We will pick up our random things. I know we missed it last night, but we do have to get some of our final selections down. So hopefully that'll be coming in the next few days as well. Also to the channel members, I called out a whole bunch of brand new 6-month channel members. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Patreon. Really quickly, I want to tell you guys about some of the tier things if you guys got a second. The patrons support this channel through a third-party website. We have patrons that have been there for a long time, just doing an amazing job with their contributions. We are going to be adding, we've broken that down into tiers. We're going to be adding a PDL sponsorship to where it could be an additional PDL private stream that we're going to be doing. Just, some different quests, some off-the-wall stuff, maybe some PvP. It won't be a super advantage over people, but maybe they want to get some custom weapons and run a private group. They might have 5 people and say, hey, kills, we want to run our group through a module. Some of the PDL members will get that opportunity. So the Patreon site has that broken down. Also, the channel members, the green team here as well. We're doing some things for the channel members. We'll have some special groups with that as well. There's going to be a gold, a silver, a bronze, different categories. Now, if you hit the join button, it does give you multiple options. With that being said, we got some channel members just hit 6 months. So you guys join up soon, and 6 months from now, you could have your very own custom badge as well. But those things take time, and hopefully you guys that support the channel through Patreon or through channel membership, you wear those badges with pride, because I know some people, Wilson, if you guys put your cursor over Wilson's badge there, it tells you he's been a member for 1 year, 6 months. That's a long time. And, I appreciate that longevity, and we just wanted to change the badges and do some things for people that have been here. We love new people, but one thing we really, really appreciate is people have been on the channel, been in the streams, been here for a long, long time. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you for everything that you guys do. One more request. Hit that like button. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what we do, if you like talking about it. There's going to be a lot more of this right around the corner. Walking Dead is going to be a week early, so we will be streaming some spoilers. We will be streaming some reactions early instead of waiting a whole week because the word is going to be out there. So it's going to be a little bit dicey in some of our streams, but more to come on that. I'll let you guys know next couple days what our schedule is going to be like. So thanks so much for everything you guys do. Special shout out to the super chatters as well. Moderators Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells. And big shout out to each and every one of you. I haven't done this in a long time, but I feel, tonight's a good night to do it because you guys have been patient with some of the streams and everything else. Everybody give me a quick 999. Let me get as many personal shout-outs as I can get in tonight's stream. And also, Green Team, a special shout-out to our super fans, to Walking Dead Nerd, and also to Gina Crockett. You guys are great. My pleasure, representing that, having that emoji up there for you guys each and every night as well, too. Joey the Gator, thank you. Deborah Farrow, Coma Drug, The Marvelous One, Roxanne Dunlap, Julia Muse, Jake Gunter, Julie McGuire, Samantha Coombs, Emmy in the house, Captain Crawfish, thank you so much. Movie Star, Najee Watts, Gene Alexander, Wilson, Lynn Nesvik, SWT Girl. Who else we got? Tammy Heitzman, Mitch True Puddin', Karen Reif, Crystal Singer Chick, Stefanella, Gina Crockett right there. Thank you so much, Gina. Appreciate that. Kimberly M. Kimberly M just hit 6 months as well. Thank you for that. Eric C. What's up, Eric? Good to see you as well. Star Guitar Goddess, thank you. Good to be back as well. Sam B. Thank you, Roxanne. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys being here every night. I saw Crystal, put a comment earlier, and it was sometimes when we don't stream for a couple days, it seems like weeks. And it does. Time goes by much, much slower. So appreciate you guys being here. Will the Bill, thank you so much. Appreciate everything you do, my man. And if you guys don't know, the early showing, we will know Friday night whether or not I will be making a trip down to Georgia. Kills went down to Georgia. He was looking to see Will the Bill. He was in a bind because June didn't die. But Will was still paying the bill. There you go. I guess that's my own version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. All right, hey, everybody. That's just like improv. I just threw that together. No rehearsing that, Will. But I'm ready either way. Personally, I would like to see it for the story. But, like I said, if I lose, I lose, and I will certainly pay up. Hey, everybody, have a good night. I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow night. Have a good one. Peace.